Welcome back to another episode of the Be a Better You podcast. I am your host and subconscious reprogramming expert, survivor, author, and mentor to help women heal from emotional abuse. Now, all month long, we are talking about domestic violence and bringing awareness because it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And if you've been listening so far, we've been diving into what is emotional abuse, the signs, the unusual tactics, the cycles, things like that. So today we're going to wrap up the series by exposing the hidden costs of emotional abuse. And these are the things that outsiders rarely see, but survivors live with on the daily. Okay. So I personally know these costs because I lived them and I know what it feels like to lose yourself. I know what it feels like to feel like your whole soul is being just erased. And I want you to know you're not imagining it. It is real. And these are real impacts of emotional abuse I'm going to be talking about, and they matter. All right, so I'm just going to jump right in. I'm going to give you 5 different ones that we're going to talk about. And I'm just going to go through them so that you understand what these are. Domestic violence awareness. Share this with others if you feel like someone you know might benefit. All right, so the first is isolation. Abusers love to cut you off from people who could clue you in. So they may not want you around family. They may not want you around friends or community. They may not even want you on social media, okay? Because they don't want you clued in to other people like telling you that you could be being abused, okay? So they're going to isolate you from that. They're going to have a lot more control over you if they can isolate you, okay? And then you're going to feel alone and totally dependent on them. The next one is the silent treatment, or otherwise known as stonewalling. And if you know what the silent treatment is, it is literally done as punishment, okay? This isn't you saying, hey, I need some time alone to process my emotions and, or whatever. No, this is when somebody is on purpose punishing you by not speaking to you because they know you want to talk to them, okay? So the purpose of this is to have you feeling like desperate for their energy or to reconnect with them or to feel close to them. So they do it on purpose, and some people do it for days, some people do it for weeks at a time. And this is something that is really, really common in emotional abuse that victims have to deal with all the time. Another one is projection and blame shifting, okay? Now, projection and blame shifting is when the other person is putting on you almost like whatever their own issue is. So if they are cheating on you, they will accuse you of cheating. If they are lying, they will accuse you of being a liar, right? So this happens because what they want to do is, one, take the spotlight off of themselves and turn you into the problem. So everything that's going on, there's no accountability on their part. They're just making you be the problem. So they're projecting all of their insecurities, all of their self-loathing onto you and saying it is you that's doing it, okay? Another cost is this cost to your mental health. Anxiety, depression, rumination, all of the nervous system responses, freeze, fawn, fight, flight, all of that, okay? Being in an emotionally abusive relationship takes a toll on you mentally. It can also take a toll on you physically. And I have another episode about that if you want to go back and listen. It's number 174, and it is the hidden impacts of emotional abuse and why you don't have to live with them forever. So if that's of interest to you, then go back and listen to that. But there are so many impacts that happen that are a cost to your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, aside from just like cutting you off from family and like stonewalling you and projecting onto you and making you feel like you're the problem, okay? And then the last one is this loss of self, okay? This is a hard one, and I went through this, and I could feel myself slipping away. And it's like you don't even know who you are. It's like you don't recognize yourself when you look in the mirror. You don't know what you want. You don't know how to make decisions. You don't know who you are. Like you literally are so confused. And almost like you have to ask them, like, well, what should I wear today? Or what should we do? Or, I don't know. Like it is a very, very scary feeling to start losing who you are. Okay. And that is a huge cost. And then when you get out of the relationship, you have to start rebuilding that sense of identity back. Again, these things are very, very, very harmful. And if you've experienced these things, you know how hard it is to dig yourself out of it. But each of these things is abusive because it's the abuser trying to get control over you completely. They are trying to isolate you so that they have control. They are giving the silent treatment so that they get you to come to them and they have the power over you. They are projecting and blame shifting onto you so that they take no accountability and you're the one groveling and asking forgiveness and apologizing constantly, so it makes them feel in control. They are the ones that are doing all of this to you. And what happens is then you start having these other problems like memory issues, anxiety, depression, and then they're going to accuse you of having problems. So you need to go to the doctor and you need to get medicated and what's wrong with you? And you have so many problems and I can't live like this with you being so, dysregulated all the time, but it's because of them. Now, and then the last thing, like the reason why, obviously, the reason why it is abusive, because they're taking away who you are, right? That leaves no room for you to be the authentic version of who you were meant to be. That's abuse, okay? Now, these things that I just described, they don't leave visible bruises. They do leave invisible scars, okay? Just like the title of my book, When Tears Leave Scars. Like nobody can see what you're struggling with on the inside, but it's there. And it can be there for a really long time if you don't work on it and you don't get the help that you need to start the healing process. But it's definitely possible to heal. You just have to have the right tools and you have to have the right support. I want to share a quick story. My ex-husband has been remarried for a few years now, and his wife is struggling with a lot of mental health issues. Sadly, she has a lot of physical ailments that are unexplained by doctors, and they can't make sense of any of it. They have run multiple tests. They have tried multiple things. I believe they've tried medicating her. She's very young, and I was on the verge of being exactly where she was. And I think I got out just in time. So, not only do these things affect you emotionally, but they affect your entire life. And I just pray every day that she gets the help that she needs and that she somehow, somebody, somewhere clues her in. It can't be me. Obviously, she's not going to hear it from me, but that hopefully somebody clues her into what she could be experiencing in that relationship. So if you've ever felt like that you've lost yourself, you've ever felt like any of these things that I'm talking about, please know that this is very normal for someone who's been abused. And I don't want you to like sidestep it or bypass it or, I don't know, like devalue it or diminish it because you are struggling with thinking maybe it wasn't that bad or other people had it worse than me or whatever, right? No, abuse is abuse. It is abuse no matter what. Whether it was 20 years like mine or whether it was 20 days, right? If it's a pattern, it's abuse. Okay? So it doesn't mean that yours was any less important or impactful, okay? Because it certainly impacted you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast, seeking out support and help. Now, if you have or let's say if you are, first of all, if you're experiencing isolation, if you're experiencing projection, if you're experiencing any of these things, I want you to know it's okay to admit it, and you can get healing if you can start to acknowledge it, right? Okay, this is isolation. I can recognize this. I know this is what this is. This is projection. I know that this is what this is, right? This is not me. This is the abuse. This is not about me. This is about the abuser doing this to me, okay? So we're like taking the power away from the abuser when we acknowledge this and we admit that this is happening. There's no shame in admitting you're being isolated. There's no shame in admitting that, people are crazy making to you or gaslighting you or whatever. There's no shame in that. You have to admit it, right? In order to take the first step to heal, we have to admit that that happened to us, okay? A lot of people don't even want to speak the word abuse because it's so heavy. And then also I think sometimes people don't want to say the word abuse because they're afraid of what that might mean. Okay? So if you are feeling like this, if you are experiencing any of these things, gently remind yourself that it's not your fault. These things are not your fault. You didn't do anything to deserve being abused. The abuser did these things to you to try to gain control because they lack something inside of themselves, and that's the easiest path for them to get it. Okay. Another thing that maybe you could try to do is reach out to somebody. Reach out to a friend or a therapist, somebody in a survivor community or a domestic violence shelter. You can reach out to me in Instagram or Facebook. Happy to talk through it. Sometimes just saying it out loud to somebody or typing it in a text message to somebody can feel really exhilarating and empowering to be like, I think I might be abused, or I think this maybe was abuse, or this feels abusive to me, right? That can be one small tiny step that you can take in the direction of getting the support and help you need and then healing yourself. Okay, just as a wrap up, at the beginning I talked about that being Emotional Abuse Awareness Month in October, and my mission with this podcast is to bring clarity to you, validation to you, healing tools, techniques, all those things so that you can stop the self-blame, so you can stop guilting yourself, so you can stop beating yourself up. You were already abused enough, right? Why are you doing it to yourself? I want you to start reclaiming your life again and be the best version of you that you can. If you can be the best version of you, then everybody else around you is going to benefit from that. Your kids, your work, your family members, your relationships, your friendships. Okay? This is important stuff. We have to commit to being better human beings. Okay? And that doesn't mean you're a bad human being. What that means is, are you living the most authentic version of you, who you're meant to be and how you're meant to be? Okay? So I would love to invite you to please leave me a review. Leave me a review wherever you're listening on your podcast. If it's Apple, if it's Spotify, wherever it is, leave a review. This isn't just for me. It helps other survivors find this podcast. The more reviews I get, the more the podcast platforms push it out. And so if you screenshot your review and then post it somewhere on social media and tag me, stories or on your page or wherever, I'm going to send you my $197 7-week I'm Worthy immersion program for free to anyone who does this. And it doesn't matter who you are. I will send it to anyone. This program is specifically designed to help you start to shift those old beliefs and patterns that make you feel unworthy, that make you feel worthless, that make you feel like you have no value and you're not good enough. Okay? That I designed this program for this specific purpose. And it's free if you do this for me and everybody else who needs to hear this message about domestic violence and about emotional abuse. Okay? And it's going to help you rebuild your self-worth. And that's the goal. Okay? Because all healing starts there. It starts with rebuilding our self-worth. So I'm going to be honoring this and even beyond October because the work doesn't stop here. Okay, so this closes out our Domestic Violence Awareness Month series, but these conversations aren't stopping here. Abuse awareness is needed all year round, okay? And this podcast is always going to be a safe space for survivors to learn, to grow, to heal, to move forward. So if any of these episodes have spoken to you, I really encourage you to share them with a friend or a family member or someone who you think might need to hear them. And together, my hope is that we can shine a light on emotional abuse and create a world where survivors never ever feel alone. Thanks for being here, and I appreciate you, and I will talk to you next week.